The best way to test resolve and determination is to put some people in confinement and place a time limit on them. Stick until the end to see how these 8 people manage the seemingly stuck situation and how many of them escape and survive the horror that they are in. Welcome to Movie Pill, where today we delve deep into the Spanish black comedy thriller movie titled The Bar. Spoilers ahead, but you already knew that, right? It's just another morning in Madrid, with individuals going about their usual routine. Salesman Sergio contacts a client to showcase his latest products, while drifter Israel faces eviction by the police for sleeping on the streets once again. Trini, grappling with her gambling addiction, requests the grocer add today's expenses to her tab, while young Elena excitedly shares details of her upcoming date with a guy she met online. When Elena's phone battery dies, she seeks refuge in a nearby bar, hoping employee Satur might lend her a charger. Simultaneously, a coughing sick man rushes into the bar and heads straight to the bathroom, frustrating owner Amparo, who resents non-paying patrons using her facilities. Israel also barges in, expecting a free meal from Amparo, his loud Bible quotes irritating fellow patrons like an impatient bank clerk, a street cleaner, and a former cop Andres. However, Nacho remains unperturbed, lost in his own world with headphones on. So far, I gathered that these people are crazy. As Sergio and Trini enter the bar, Trini eagerly spends her last bit of money on the slot machine. When the bank clerk grows impatient and exits without his breakfast, he is suddenly shot. Chaos ensues as people flee the streets and panic grips the bar, though it takes Nacho a moment to grasp the situation due to his obliviousness to the gunshot. With no signal inside, contacting the police becomes impossible, prompting the street cleaner to go out despite the danger. Regrettably, while attending to the bank clerk, he too falls victim to a gunshot. Israel continues his laughter and Bible quotes amidst the panic, while others take cover on the floor as a precautionary measure. Despite wanting to depart for church, Israel is persuaded by Amparo's offer of more food and her promise to speak with the priest later. Trini cautiously grabs the remote and switches to the TV, but while channel surfing, the group notices an unsettling anomaly. There are no mentions of the recent deaths in the street of Madrid. This omission raises suspicions among the group. I always knew that the media is corrupted. Meanwhile, Trini peers outside and makes an even more peculiar discovery. The bodies have vanished without a trace of blood left behind. Bewildered by this turn of events, the group attempts to occupy themselves by watching TV or engaging in conversation while awaiting assistance. Satur begins to entertain outlandish theories, pondering whether they are experiencing a dream and have been abducted by aliens or the government. After Amparo reprimands him to regain focus, the group collectively assesses the situation. Elena considers the possibility of a connection between the two victims, though it seems improbable for a street cleaner and a bank clerk. Sergio speculates that the perpetrator might not be a criminal, but rather the police themselves. According to his theory, the police may have received a tip-off suggesting the presence of a significant criminal inside the bar, prompting them to shoot anyone attempting to exit. In the case of a highly dangerous individual such as a terrorist carrying a bomb, allowing them to escape would pose an unacceptable risk. This explanation could account for the evacuation of the area and the absence of police intervention within the bar. I feel like that theory is possible, but not probable. While the group deliberates on this hypothesis, Nacho opts to discreetly stash his bag to avoid arousing suspicion, but his attempt is thwarted as he is caught in the act. Sergio and Andres restrain Nacho while Satur seizes the bag, though hesitates to open it. Taking matters into her own hands, Amparo retrieves the bag and opens it, revealing a collection of clothes and a hard disk. Despite Nacho's insistence that it contains only work files, a heated debate ensues regarding what course of action to take. In a decisive act, Elena seizes the bag, tosses it to the ground, and proceeds to obliterate it by stomping on it repeatedly, dismissing the group's preoccupation with baseless theories as juvenile. Why is she stomping on his clothes and a hard disk? However, Nacho feels unjustly singled out as suspicious due to his beard and his failure to react to the gunshot, prompting him to accuse Sergio of similar behavior by pointing to his suitcase. Amparo seizes Sergio's suitcase, leading to a struggle between them, during which Satur intervenes to defend his employer, resulting in Sergio accidentally striking him. Andres reacts by drawing a gun to stop the altercation, stunning everyone present and providing Israel with an opportunity to steal Sergio's suitcase. Upon opening it, Israel discovers it contains lingerie, revealing Sergio's line of work. Meanwhile, a peculiar noise emanates from the bathroom, reminding them of the sick man's presence. Unable to open the locked door, Andres resorts to shooting it open, revealing the sick man collapsed on the floor beside the toilet, with bleeding ears and a suspicious syringe nearby. Another disturbance from the outside draws their attention to a truck carrying masked agents who ignore their pleas for assistance, deciding instead to ignite a fire by stacking tires outside the bar. The ensuing thick, dark smoke is broadcast on TV as a major fire in Madrid, leading the groups to realize it's a government-sanctioned cover-up for the killings. The sick man emerges from the bathroom in a deteriorating state, warning them not to touch him before succumbing to his condition and passing away. He wouldn't need to warn me. I'm not touching him even if he pleads with me to do it. Nacho retrieves the man's phone, revealing his military background and past work in Africa through the images stored on it, which also depict individuals in hazmat suits. It becomes apparent that the man has introduced a deadly disease into the area, explaining the evacuation and the lethal response to anyone from the bar attempting to leave. Faced with the grim realization of their impending demise, the group resigns themselves to occupying their time while waiting, with Israel preparing the sick man for funeral prayers. Elena and Nacho, armed with the sick man's phone with minimal battery life remaining, resolve to seek out a signal in a desperate bid for communication. I don't think outside communication is going to help them with anything. Nacho accomplishes this feat by positioning himself on a chair near a raised section of the bar ceiling, enabling him to contact a colleague and refute the television's false narrative. Feeling the urgency, Satur wrestles the phone from Nacho and frantically pleads for assistance, but the recipient dismisses it as a prank and terminates the call. Recognizing the dwindling battery life, Nacho and Satur engage in a struggle over the phone, resulting in the chair's collapse, causing a commotion that pushes everyone backwards. Trini accidentally strikes the slot machine in the chaos, triggering a jackpot that dispenses a cascade of coins, which Israel promptly gathers. Expressing a desire to use the phone next, Andres is cautioned by Amparo against touching it due to its association with the sick man. In fact, Amparo insists on maintaining distance from anyone who had contact with the sick man. Bro, I think that ship has sailed. Andres and Sergio agree with her, advocating for precautionary measures, and they retreat from the group associated with the sick man to seek refuge behind the counter with Amparo. Despite Elena's objections, asserting that they have all been in close proximity for hours and interacted with each other, the trio remains steadfast in their decision. In a show of seriousness, Andres brandishes his gun to compel them to relocate to the storeroom and transport the sick man's body. Initially hesitant, Nacho relents when Andres punctuates his intent by firing at the slot machine. Meanwhile, Israel dawdles, engrossed in biblical quotations, until Amparo persuades him to comply by offering him 2 bottles of alcohol. Within the dim and musty storeroom, the group engages in a conversation to pass the time, but Trini's claustrophobia triggers a panic attack. Climbing the stairs in desperation, she futilely pounds on the door, inadvertently striking a box of bottles and causing them to shatter. Bro, these people need to calm down, like actually. Observing the absence of pooled liquid, Nacho deduces the presence of a drain, which they locate after clearing away debris. Upon lifting the lid, they discover it leads to the sewers and is relatively shallow, prompting Israel to volunteer for descent. Stripping down and coating himself in oil, Israel attempts to navigate the narrow passage, but despite the group's concerted efforts to assist, he becomes lodged in a cramped space, unable to progress. Good thing they didn't send Trini down there. Suddenly, they're startled by sounds emanating from upstairs. It appears that a group of individuals has entered the bar and is attacking Amparo, Andres, and Sergio. Simultaneously, they observe a rise in temperature and smoke seeping from the door. A fire has been ignited within the bar as a disinfection measure, with the air becoming increasingly stifling. Elena, Nacho, and Satur collaborate to release Israel from the drain, allowing fresh air to flow in from the sewer. Amid Trini's escalating anxiety attack, she attempts to pry open the door, sustaining burns on her hands in the process. Treating her injuries with oil and makeshift bandages crafted from toilet paper, they wait for the situation to stabilize. Once the noises upstairs cease, Nacho cautiously opens the door using a broom, revealing the charred interior of the bar, but no sign of the bodies. The agents have sealed the door with tape, obstructing their view of the events outside. Deciding to emerge from the storeroom, Nacho discovers Andres' gun, discreetly concealing it in his clothes despite the searing sensation from the warm metal. While Trini expresses a desire to venture outside and seek assistance, Nacho reminds her of the lethal consequences of revealing their presence, or the sniper can get them. Remarkably, none of them have symptoms of illness, leading Nacho to believe that their best course of action is to remain hidden for a few days until the incident fades from memory, especially considering the abundance of provisions within the storeroom. A sudden noise startles the group momentarily, only to realize it's originating from the sick man's phone, which is receiving a flurry of messages. Elena investigates and learns that a friend is checking up on the man to ensure his well-being. It appears that the man had been suffering from a fever for several days and was aware of being pursued. Upon entering the bar, he sought out the restroom to administer a secret injection as he had stolen some form of experimental serum. Unfortunately, the serum proved ineffective for him, but considering his prolonged illness, it's somewhat understandable. In contrast, none of the group members exhibit any symptoms yet, leaving a possibility that the serum might work for them. Yeah, but who's gonna drink that stuff now? Wouldn't be me. Just then, the phone begins to ring. The individual who sent the text is now calling. Nacho hesitates about answering, wary of the potential trap, and his indecision results in the phone's battery dying. Acting quickly, Satur rushes upstairs in search of a compatible charger, while Elena recalls a message mentioning 4 doses left. The group checks the man's body but finds nothing, prompting a swift search of the bathroom. Israel beats them to it, discovering a box containing the remaining 4 syringes, relishing his newfound leverage over the group. With only 4 doses available for 5 people, a debate ensues about how to proceed. Suspecting they might vote him out, Israel injects himself with one of the doses. Nacho considers using the gun, but refrains upon Elena's reminder of the risk of alerting the police outside. Instead, he attempts to subdue Israel physically, but Israel gains the upper hand, seizing control of the gun. As Satur tries to retrieve the bandages, Israel strikes it, causing the box to tumble into the storeroom. Trini rushes downstairs to retrieve it, but due to her bandaged hands, she fumbles, inadvertently dropping the box into the sewers. What a bunch of dumb people! Another member with a slender build needs to navigate through the narrow passage, leaving Elena as the sole option. After stripping down and applying oil to her body, Elena enters the hole. Despite the discomfort and minor injuries she sustained, the group pushes her through until she plunges into the murky water below. Retrieving the box of syringes doesn't take long, but Elena refuses to secure it to the wire lowered by Nacho, fearing they will exhaust the supply, leaving her with none. Determined not to stoop to their level, Elena opts not to use a syringe herself, insisting that if the group wants to discuss their usage, they must join her below. Meanwhile, the group enlarges the hole using a makeshift pipe. Venturing further, Elena discovers a storm drain and conceals the syringes in a wall cavity. Outside, law enforcement and special agents continue their operations around the perimeter, dealing with bodies recovered from the bar. Returning to the storeroom entrance, Elena finds the men have already emerged and are assisting Trini, whose erratic movements cause everyone to tumble into the water. While Satur and Trini manage to escape unscathed, Nacho seizes the opportunity to wrestle the gun away from Israel underwater. They're fighting over that gun like kids for some candy at this point. Amidst the struggle, Nacho emerges victorious, attributing the gunfire to Israel, who vanishes beneath the water. Suspecting Nacho of murder, the group grows wary of his escalating aggression. Fed up with the chaos, Elena demands that Nacho discard the gun if he expects her to lead them to the syringes. Ignoring her plea, Nacho threatens Satur's life, forcing Elena's hand. Reluctantly, she guides them back to the wall where the syringes are concealed. Along the way, Trini employs the bag of coins pilfered from Israel to mark their path. Upon reaching a dimly lit tunnel, Trini feigns distress, pretending Satur is pushing her into the water, all while she covertly submerges him to drown. Alerted by a gunshot, Nacho intervenes to rescue Satur, and they press forward, with Nacho keeping Trini at gunpoint. Trini admits her aversion to being seen and seizes the gun, intending to end her own life. As the remaining trio secures the syringes, they are startled by the sound of coins clinking. Investigating, they discover Trini's lifeless body adorned with coins over her eyes, a ruse orchestrated by Israel, who seizes the opportunity to ambush and fatally injure Satur. Subsequently, Israel pursues Elena and Nacho as they navigate the labyrinthine tunnels until they reach a flight of stairs leading upward. Amidst the ascent, Elena stumbles, causing her to lose her syringe, while Nacho is ensnared by Israel. Realizing the futility of escape, Nacho relinquishes his syringe to Elena and releases his grip on the stairs, sending both him and Israel plummeting to their demise. The real hero is Nacho. Rest in peace. Overcome with grief, Elena administers the injection to herself before exerting all of her strength to shift the manhole cover at the stairway's terminus, enabling her exit. Emerging on the outskirts of the containment zone, she attracts the attention of bystanders who express concern and offer assistance, but Elena remains detached, drifting away with a vacant expression. Lost in her own thoughts, she fails to recognize the man she was supposed to meet for a date, even as he calls out to her, continuing her solitary journey forward. Ever felt like you're trapped in a situation beyond your control? The Bar dives deep into that feeling, showing how ordinary people can be pushed to their limits. I rate this movie a 6 out of 10, but I'll add a point just for the funny jokes, so it's a 7. Do you agree with my rating? Looks like this movie pill is starting to wear off. But don't worry, there's always more where that came from. Tap here to keep the effects going with this next movie, because who can stop at just one? And while you're at it, don't forget to like and subscribe, because your next movie dose is just a click away.